Welcome the rare gems. Some lines are not drawn in anger. They're drawn in quiet strength to protect the peace you fought to build. There's a certain kind of woman who doesn't just know herself. She lives by that knowledge. A Sigma female is not stubborn for the sake of pride, but because some parts of her are non-negotiable. She has learned the hard way that bending too much eventually breaks you, and she refuses to break just to be accepted. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being grounded in your truth, even when it's inconvenient for others. If that's you, then know this. You are not cold. You are not difficult. You are clear. You've felt what it's like to compromise pieces of your soul, and you've made a promise to yourself, never again. A Sigma female doesn't raise her voice to prove a point. Her life speaks for her. She walks away without bitterness because staying in places that demand too much of her identity feels like betrayal. She's willing to lose people if it means she keeps herself. If you've ever been called too serious, too distant, too much, or not enough, it's probably because you refuse to play along with expectations that don't feel right. That's not a flaw. That's power. You draw your lines quietly. But once they're drawn, they don't move. That's not being harsh. That's being loyal to yourself. And if anyone can't handle that, let them go. You weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to be whole. Let's get started. The rare gems. Number 1. Dimming her intellect to stroke someone's ego. A Sigma female will never shrink her mind to make someone else feel taller. That's not pride. That's self-respect. She's been in rooms where her ideas were brushed off until someone else repeated them louder. She's had moments when her curiosity was called too much, and her sharp insights were met with subtle eye rolls or fake compliments. But instead of second-guessing herself, she learned something powerful. She was never the problem. Their ego was. Sigma females don't use their intelligence to compete. They use it to create, to solve, to grow. But the moment someone expects them to play dumb just to keep the power balance, they mentally check out. She doesn't raise her voice or argue. She simply stops offering her light where it's not respected. She knows that true intelligence isn't just about facts and logic. It's about the ability to see patterns in silence, to read between the lines, to challenge without aggression, and correct without shaming. That kind of intelligence unsettles people who rely on power games and shallow dominance. So when a partner feels threatened by her clarity, or a boss feels small in the presence of her brilliance, she steps back, not because she doubts herself, but because she refuses to carry the weight of someone else's insecurity. Her mind is her weapon and her sanctuary. She's not going to play small just to be liked or accepted. If someone is uncomfortable around her light, they're always free to look away. A Sigma female knows her intelligence doesn't need to be hidden. It needs to be honored. And if that scares some people, so be it. She didn't come to impress. She came to impact. And she'll keep doing that, with or without applause. That's her standard. And that's one compromise she'll never make. Number 2. Becoming emotionally accessible on demand. People love to ask for a Sigma woman's heart, but very few are ready to hold it with the care it deserves. They want her openness. They want her softness. They want access to her thoughts, her fears, her past, but they rarely think about what it costs her to open up. A Sigma female doesn't have walls because she's cold. She has them because she's learned the difference between people who are curious and people who are safe. Vulnerability isn't something she hands out like candy. It's sacred, and she won't reveal the private corners of her soul to someone who hasn't proven they can handle the truth with maturity and care. Too often, people want her to pour out her emotions just to satisfy their own ego. They want her tears, her stories, her broken pieces, yet they offer no real security in return, no stability, no consistency, no space for her to just be. That's not intimacy. That's emotional theft. Sigma women protect their emotional world the way a lioness protects her cubs, not because they are weak, but because they are precious. She refuses to be emotionally naked in front of someone who only shows up when it's convenient. And if someone accuses her of being closed off, she doesn't flinch. She knows her emotions are not entertainment. They are not a test of loyalty. They are not up for negotiation. She connects deeply, but only when it feels safe, only when it feels real, and only when it's mutual. So, no, she will not bleed on cue. She will not hand over her trust in the first 10 minutes, and she absolutely will not open herself to someone who hasn't shown up time and time again when no one was watching. That's not her being distant. That's her protecting something that deserves to be earned, not demanded. Number 3. Accepting love that feels like surveillance. To a Sigma female, love is supposed to feel like freedom, not a prison with fancy words. She sees through the sweet talk that comes with hidden chains. You know the type, I'm just checking on you. Or I need to know where you are because I care. At first it sounds affectionate, but over time, it starts to feel like a tracker, not tenderness. She doesn't mistake obsession for love. She's not impressed by someone who always needs updates, constant reassurance, or minute-by-minute access to her life. To her, that's not romance. That's control in disguise. She knows what it feels like to be loved and still feel alone. And she knows what it feels like to be watched, not seen. She's been in situations where every move was questioned, every decision turned into a debate, and every boundary tested in the name of love. But she's no longer available for that. Once a Sigma female sees that someone's affection is just a way to monitor her, she quietly pulls back, not to punish, but to breathe. Because love, to her, should never feel like walking on eggshells. It should never feel like she needs permission to be herself. She wants a connection that lets her grow, not one that wants to shrink her into someone easier to control. So the moment she starts to feel watched instead of trusted, she knows it's time to go. She'd rather be alone in peace than loved under pressure. And here's the truth. She doesn't need someone to babysit her emotions or hover over her independence. She wants a partner, not a warden. If someone can't love her without caging her, then that's not love worth keeping. She's not afraid of solitude. She's afraid of losing herself in the name of staying loved. That's one trap she'll never walk into again. Number 4. Trading her stillness for someone else's chaos. There's a certain calm a Sigma female carries. It's not loud, it's not forced. It's a quiet kind of strength that took years to build. And once she finds that stillness, she protects it like her life depends on it, because in many ways it does. She's not here for the chaos people bring and then expect her to clean up. The emotional roller coasters, the constant arguments, the people who create storms and then act surprised when she doesn't want to dance in the rain with them. That's not love, that's dysfunction dressed in drama. Sigma females don't thrive in noise. They think clearly when life is steady. They reflect, they build, they grow. But when someone comes into their life dragging drama, unpredictability, and emotional messiness, they start to feel suffocated. And she's learned one truth the hard way. Peace is always more valuable than company. So she won't trade her inner calm just to keep someone else from falling apart. She's not a fixer. She's not an emotional sponge. If someone constantly brings chaos to her doorstep, she'll close the door, no matter how close they are. She's not being harsh, she's being healthy. The people who thrive on drama often think she's cold or unbothered, but the truth is, she just refuses to be pulled into storms she didn't cause. She chooses quiet mornings over loud apologies. She chooses stability over excitement that ends in disaster. She's not waiting to be rescued or repaired. She's protecting her peace like a sacred space. And if that makes her seem distant to people addicted to chaos, so be it. She's not here to entertain emotional turbulence. She's here to live fully, think clearly, and move forward without the weight of someone else's mess tied to her back. She doesn't escape the circus. She just never entered it in the first place. Number 5. Forcing friendship with someone she no longer respects. A Sigma female doesn't do pretend closeness. She won't smile through her teeth or fake laughter just to keep things polite. If the respect is gone, so is the friendship, quietly but completely. It's not because she's bitter. It's because she values authenticity more than approval. Once someone crosses a line that shows her their true character, be it disloyalty, manipulation, or just repeated dishonesty, something shifts in her. Not loudly, not dramatically, but permanently. She doesn't announce her exit. She simply pulls her energy back. Her silence speaks louder than confrontation ever could. And it's not about holding a grudge. It's about no longer feeding a bond that's already broken. A Sigma female can spot fake loyalty from a mile away. She sees the ones who smile in her face and gossip behind her back. She notices when people only check in when they need something. And when she sees it, she makes a mental note. From that point on, the connection becomes surface level at best. She doesn't expose them. She just stops giving them access to her real self. No forced conversations, no awkward meetups, no pretending. She understands that not every friendship ends in a big fallout. Some just quietly dissolve when trust and respect fall apart, and she's fine with that. She'd rather walk alone with her integrity intact than sit at a table full of people she can't respect. So if she doesn't reach out anymore, if she no longer entertains the fake sisterhood that once looked good on the outside but felt hollow inside, it's not pettiness. It's peace. She's not looking for a crowd. She's looking for truth. And if that means letting go of a few friendships along the way, she does so without regret. Because when respect leaves the room, so does she. Number 6. Apologizing for being too focused. A Sigma female doesn't apologize for having tunnel vision when it comes to her goals. People might call her distant, cold, or too serious, but what they're really saying is, she's not giving me the attention I feel entitled to. And she's not losing sleep over that. She knows what it feels like to be pulled in every direction, to spread herself thin trying to keep everyone comfortable. She's done with that. These days, her time is intentional, her energy is sacred, and her focus is laser sharp. That's not a flaw, that's her power. When she's locked into something, building, learning, evolving, she disappears from noise and distraction. Not because she's avoiding people, but because she refuses to live on standby for others while her own life passes her by. She's not going to dim her intensity to make someone else feel seen. If her focus intimidates them, that's their work to do, not hers. People who aren't doing much with their time often mistake ambition for arrogance. But she doesn't explain herself anymore. She won't soften her drive to make others feel less insecure about their own stagnation. Her focus has protected her from chaos, helped her rebuild after disappointment, and kept her grounded when everything else felt unstable. She's not giving that up to play therapist to someone's fragile ego. If someone sees her commitment to her path as a problem, she'll take it as a sign they were never meant to walk beside her anyway. She's not sorry for being intentional. She's not sorry for disappearing to build something real. And she's definitely not sorry for choosing progress over popularity. In a world that constantly asks women to be softer, smaller, or more available, the Sigma female draws a quiet but firm line. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to evolve. Number 7. Negotiating her non-negotiables. When a Sigma female says no, it's not a maybe in disguise. It's not the beginning of a debate. It's not an opening for persuasion. It's a full sentence backed by deep thought, firm values, and lived experience. She's not the kind of woman who makes rules just to break them. Her boundaries weren't built overnight. They were forged through betrayal, burned bridges, and lessons that left marks. Every non-negotiable she holds came with a cost. So when she sets a line, it's because she paid for it. And she's not about to hand it over just to keep someone else happy. People who are used to bending others will find her frustrating. They'll push, they'll test, they'll ask again, thinking maybe if they catch her on a softer day, she'll budge. She won't. Not because she's being difficult, but because she's finally being honest, with herself first. Sigma females don't flirt with boundaries. They reinforce them. If something violates her values, her peace, or her self-respect, the door is closed. No explanations, no second chances dressed up as conversations. She doesn't care if it makes her look too harsh or unapproachable. She knows that people who genuinely respect you never ask you to compromise your core. She's not trying to be intimidating, she's being clear. And in a world that's constantly asking women to soften, adjust, and make room for what they don't want, her refusal is a form of self-respect. If someone thinks her firmness is a challenge to conquer, they've already lost. She's not here to argue. She's here to protect what she built, her time, her peace, her growth. Her non-negotiables are not up for discussion. They are what keep her grounded. And anyone who can't respect that won't have a seat at her table. Number 8. Pretending she feels something she doesn't. A Sigma female would rather disappoint someone with the truth than betray herself with a lie. She's not in the business of faking feelings to keep the peace. Whether it's love, attraction, forgiveness, or connection, if it's not real, she won't force it. She's been there before, saying I'm fine when she wasn't, nodding through conversations that drained her, smiling when her soul was numb, and every time she pretended, she felt a piece of herself go silent. That silence taught her something. Emotional dishonesty doesn't just lie to others, it slowly erases you. So now, she lives with clarity. If she doesn't feel it, she won't say it. If it's not mutual, she won't chase it. If the energy feels off, she won't ignore it. People might call her cold, but they're confusing emotional discipline with detachment. The truth is, she just refuses to build connections on illusions. She knows how damaging it is to keep saying I forgive you when the wound is still raw, or to stay in a relationship out of guilt when the spark is already gone, or to keep giving emotionally when nothing inside her feels safe. That's not kindness, that's slow destruction. A Sigma female isn't emotionally reckless, she's emotionally responsible. She understands that faking love is worse than walking away, that forced forgiveness isn't healing, it's hiding. And pretending to care is never a substitute for real connection. She doesn't owe anyone performance. Her emotions are not for show. If they are there, she'll express them fully. If they're not, she'll choose silence or distance. Not out of malice, but out of respect, for herself and for the other person. To her, honesty is the only way to stay whole. And she won't sacrifice her inner truth just to make someone else feel better. Not anymore. Number 9. Pretending she feels something she doesn't. A Sigma female refuses to lie with her emotions. If she doesn't feel it, love, forgiveness, desire, care, she won't pretend, not for comfort, not for appearances, not even to keep a relationship alive. Because to her, emotional dishonesty is a slow way to disappear from yourself. She's not cold, she's clear. There's a difference. She knows that every time you say, I love you, when you don't, every time you forgive someone just to move on faster, or every time you stay in a situation where your heart has already left, you lose a little more of your truth. Sigma women aren't built to perform emotions they don't feel. They can't. It physically weighs on them, the faking, the pretending, the forcing. It eats away at their peace. So she stopped doing it. She's walked away from people who meant well, but didn't feel right. She's ended conversations mid-sentence when the words on her tongue didn't match what she felt in her gut. And she's left relationships that checked all the boxes, except the one that said real. She's not here to play the part of the loving partner, the forgiving friend, or the emotionally available woman just because it's expected. If it's not true, it doesn't leave her lips. And if that makes her difficult to understand, so be it. She'd rather be misunderstood and honest than adored for a version of herself that isn't real. Because in her world, pretending to feel something is the fastest way to lose your own voice. And hers? She fought too hard to reclaim it. She's not about to silence it now. Number 10. Tolerating repeated patterns disguised as apologies. A Sigma female doesn't confuse repeated apologies with actual growth. She listens to patterns, not just words. When someone hurts her, says sorry, then does it again, she knows what that is. That's not remorse. That's strategy. She's not the kind of woman you can manipulate with a well-timed apology. She doesn't fall for tears without accountability or promises that never turn into change. In her world, words lose their meaning if they're not backed by action. She's seen it before. The same mistake repackaged with a softer tone, the same disrespect wrapped in emotional guilt. She's watched people apologize just enough to stay close but never enough to grow up. And she's learned that forgiveness, when handed out too easily, becomes an invitation for disrespect to settle in. So no, her forgiveness is not a revolving door. Once she sees that someone's apology is just a tool to reset the cycle, she closes the door without fanfare. She doesn't need closure speeches or dramatic exits. She just stops showing up for patterns that don't serve her peace. Some will call her unforgiving. Others will call her cold. But she knows better. She's simply done investing her softness into people who treat it like a loophole. Forgiveness to her is not about giving people endless chances. It's about choosing peace, sometimes with them, often without them. And once she realizes that I'm sorry is just a script to keep her nearby, she rewrites the ending. Because a Sigma female doesn't tolerate disrespect dressed as regret. She sees it for what it is, manipulation with manners, and she walks away before it robs her of her clarity, her dignity, or her time. Number 11. Staying where her value is measured by her usefulness. A Sigma female knows the difference between being loved and being used, and the moment she realizes that her worth is tied only to what she gives, not who she is, she begins to withdraw, quietly, decisively. She won't keep pouring into people, spaces, or systems that see her as a tool rather than a whole human being. She's not someone's emotional crutch. She's not a productivity machine. She's not here to be needed more than she is known. In the past, she may have tried. She stayed too long in places that applauded her effort but never asked how she was doing. She played roles, good daughter, supportive partner, reliable employee, thinking that one day someone would see beyond her usefulness and appreciate her essence. But they didn't, and that realization hit harder than any breakup. So she changed. Now, if a job values her output but not her voice, she'll leave. If a relationship thrives on her loyalty but never nurtures her needs, she'll pull back. If a family only calls when they want something, she'll stop answering. She's not bitter. She's just done confusing validation with belonging. Because the truth is, she's not afraid to be alone. She's afraid to be surrounded by people who only see her value when she's being helpful. That kind of invisibility is its own kind of prison, and she refuses to live in it. Her worth isn't a transaction. It's not earned through overgiving or self-neglect. It's already there, in her insight, her presence, her truth. And if someone can't see that, she won't try to convince them. She'll simply walk away, not to punish them, but to protect herself. Because usefulness fades, but self-worth, that's non-negotiable. In final words, the moment you betray yourself just to keep someone else comfortable, you lose more than peace, you lose your reflection. A Sigma female doesn't just draw lines, she builds quiet but unbreakable borders around what matters. These aren't empty boundaries written in sand. They are rooted in hard-won lessons, sleepless nights, and moments where she had to choose between being accepted and being real. And she chose herself. You don't wear the title Sigma female because it sounds good. You wear it because you've learned that peace is more important than popularity, that authenticity is more valuable than approval, that walking alone is sometimes the only way to stay whole. You are not difficult. You are not cold. You are just done giving explanations to people who never cared to understand you in the first place. You don't compromise your depth for shallow connection. You don't fake softness to earn love. You don't sacrifice clarity just to avoid tension. And that makes you rare. It makes you grounded. It makes you dangerous to anyone who profits from your silence. Let this be your reminder. You're not here to be easy to digest. You're here to be honest. You're here to guard your essence like treasure because it is treasure. You're not for every room, every relationship, or every rhythm, and that's not your weakness. That's your design. Keep drawing your lines. Keep walking away from anything that asks you to shrink. You are not hard to love, you're just not easy to manipulate. And that's exactly how it should be. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.